Imagine this: a man who preaches honesty, yet lies to protect his own power. A woman who demands compassion, yet condemns those who disagree. A society that claims to be moral, yet uses that very morality to justify cruelty. This is the paradox George Orwell warned us about. Morality, the very thing that should make us humane, can, when twisted, become the sharpest tool of oppression. Orwell, best known for works like 1984 and Animal Farm, saw how societies manipulate moral language. Governments claim to act for the good of the people, yet those same acts lead to censorship, surveillance, and control. Leaders declare wars in the name of justice, yet the victims are always the innocent. Ordinary citizens condemn others, believing they are righteous, when in reality, they have become the enforcers of tyranny. The paradox is this: morality, when absolute, can justify anything, even evil. And Orwell's insight forces us to confront a difficult truth. Morality is not always moral. Before Orwell became the prophet of dystopia, he lived as Eric Arthur Blair, a man torn between privilege and conscience. Educated at elite schools, then serving in the imperial police in Burma, Orwell witnessed firsthand the contradiction of morality and empire. The British Empire claimed to bring civilization and justice to its colonies. Yet Orwell saw how that moral justification masked exploitation, violence, and racism. The empire declared itself a force of good, while committing acts of cruelty in the name of progress. This left Orwell with a lifelong obsession: how people use morality to blind themselves to injustice. He began writing essays, such as Shooting an Elephant, describing the way moral duty could be perverted into moral hypocrisy. The elephant wasn't killed out of necessity, but because Orwell felt the moral pressure of the crowd. His actions, like the empire's, were not guided by justice, but by fear and image. This paradox haunted him. Morality was not just a guide to good behavior. It could also be the mask for domination. For Orwell, morality was never neutral. He argued that morality could be weaponized. When leaders or groups define what is moral, they gain power over everyone else. In Animal Farm, the pigs declare rules in the name of fairness. But slowly those moral rules change. All animals are equal becomes all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. What begins as a moral revolution ends in tyranny. In 1984, the party does not simply control behavior. It controls morality itself. It decides what is right, what is wrong, what is truth, and what is falsehood. Morality is not a question of conscience anymore. It is obedience. This is the paradox. Morality, the supposed protector of justice, becomes the very instrument of injustice. And once people surrender their sense of right and wrong to authority, they no longer act as individuals. They become tools of the system. Orwell understood that morality often hides in language. Words shape what we believe is just or unjust. He dissected how political language disguises brutality. Bombing villages is called pacification. Massacres are called operations. Starvation is called food shortage. When words are manipulated, morality follows. People believe they are supporting justice, when in reality, they are complicit in horror. This is why Orwell insisted that clarity of language is essential to clarity of morality. The more vague and manipulative the language, the more morality becomes corrupted. If we cannot name cruelty, then cruelty becomes acceptable. Language is not just communication. It is the battlefield where morality is defined, twisted, and controlled. Why does morality so easily twist into its opposite? Orwell believed part of the answer lies in human psychology. We want to be seen as good. We crave righteousness, and this craving often blinds us. Once people believe they are morally right, they stop questioning themselves. They justify violence, censorship, or persecution because they believe their cause is pure. This, Orwell warned, is the real danger. Morality without self-doubt. When righteousness becomes absolute, it transforms into fanaticism. Wars are fought not for survival, but for justice. People are silenced not because they are wrong, but because they are immoral. And in this environment, morality no longer protects humanity. It destroys it. Orwell's insights were not locked in the 20th century. Today we live surrounded by the same paradox. Social media has turned morality into performance. Outrage becomes a virtue. Shaming becomes justice. Entire groups are condemned with slogans, while individuals lose jobs, reputations, or even safety in the name of doing what's right. Governments, too, continue Orwell's script. Wars are still justified in the name of peace. Surveillance is sold as protection. Censorship is defended as responsibility. The words have changed, but the paradox remains the same. Morality once again is both our shield and our weapon, and sometimes it cuts deeper than we realize. So how do we escape this trap? Orwell never gave simple answers, but his writings point us toward a path. First, we must doubt ourselves. Morality without humility is dangerous. Questioning our own righteousness prevents us from turning into fanatics. Second, we must protect language. Clear words keep morality honest. Refusing to hide cruelty behind euphemisms makes it harder for power to disguise itself. Finally, we must separate morality from obedience. True morality comes from conscience, not from authority. It comes from asking, am I treating others with dignity? Not from repeating what leaders or crowds demand. Orwell's warning is not to abandon morality, but to purify it, to recognize when it becomes corrupted, and to resist the seduction of righteousness without responsibility. George Orwell was not just a novelist. He was a prophet of human weakness. He saw that morality, the very thing that makes us human, can also be turned against us. This is the paradox. The higher the claim of moral purity, the greater the risk of moral corruption. And this paradox lives on, in governments, in communities, even in ourselves. Orwell's insight is not comfortable. It demands that we see the danger within our own desire to be good. But if we are willing to face that danger, we can reclaim morality, not as a weapon, but as a guide. So the question is not just what is right. The question is, who decides what is right, and why do we believe them? That, Orwell would say, is where the fight for true morality begins.